Welcome to Press Pass Live Part 2. We are trying this all over again. Guess what, friends? We are scrapping the video. It just absolutely didn't work for us today. So we're just going to try out Discord's audio function, getting rid of all the video. It just has caused us way too many problems. But we are glad that you are here with us today. It has been way too long. And finally, I talked to our buddy WhoDey into joining us again. WhoDey, thank you so much for not only joining us on the show, but putting up with me and all these technical difficulties. I'm glad that you're with us. Welcome back, buddy.
Third time's a charm. What's up, fellas?
We are going to give it another shot, but I promise you, I am watching everything. It is actually working. I cannot believe Season 74 is already almost finished. We have finished almost Season 74. We're starting the playoffs. Matter of fact, I think we'll talk about it in a second, but I think some playoff games have already begun to come in. And so we're going to take a look back at Season 74, what was, what is, and what is still to come here at the end. So let's hop right in there, WhoDey. You were already giving us some really great insight. Let's talk about the AFC. Break it down. What happened? Who surprised you? Who did you think was going to be there? And who maybe disappointed you out of the AFC? They didn't get to hear all these terrible things they were saying about you, but now's your chance. It's actually working.
My biggest winner coming out of the AFC, I want to kind of zoom in on the Steelers a little bit. I figured he would be there in the end, but as it kind of broke down, he started off super hot. I mean, he's blowing guys out. He finished 9-7, but I still say he's a winner because, you take a division like the AFC North, you got really good players. You bring in a new guy, being chaotics with the Browns. Great team. You don't really know what to expect. I certainly didn't expect him to knock us all off. He beat every one of us. So that is a little different, but the Steelers, they still found a way to battle to 9-7. I call them a winner because they kind of snuck into the playoffs there at the end. They had a really great Week 17 game against the Browns that came down to the final seconds. 3 or 4 seconds left. There's a field goal. It's a tie game. He's kicking to win. The Browns block it, run it back for a touchdown. Steelers lose Week 17 in a really tight race. None of us really knew if the Chiefs were going to get that 6th seed spot, but the Steelers end up getting it. The AFC North gets 3 teams in the playoffs. So the Steelers are going to be my big winner this year for Season 74. If I had to really zoom in on a team that didn't quite meet that expectation that I had, it would have to be Kevin down in South Beach with the Miami Dolphins. I really thought that this would be kind of like last cycle. He started off super hot out the gate, Madden 17. He's putting a whooping on everybody. And he kind of, the first half of the season, went that way. He led the league in sacks for a long period of time. Like, it wasn't even close. I think he might even have finished with 16 or 17 sacks with 2 or 3 guys. But he kind of fell off. Tie. He beat the Patriots maybe in like Week 13 or 14. And he ended up losing 4 of the last 5 games. And he ended up missing the playoffs by a game or 2. So I really expected him to hang in there and get one of those, at least a wild card spot. But if he ended up winning that division, it wouldn't have surprised me. So moving forward into next year, that expectation still comes back because Kevin always seems to find a way to start off hot.
Yeah, I think that for me, just kind of looking at the AFC in general, like you had another really great season. The New England Patriots really started off a little rocky, but man, they really got things figured out and got on a roll. A couple of surprises for me would have to be the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, Dawson was going over there. I figured he would get things going a whole lot quicker. It took him a little bit. He did get some things figured out at the end, but just looking at who won that division, the Raiders, really coming out of nowhere, right? We don't get to hear a whole lot from Jay Biles, but he is involved, and man, he really was able to figure some things out. Mack really led that team. Not only did he win the sack record and break the sack record here in the OMFL with 31 or 29 or somewhere in there, but man, it really led that team, only allowing 18 points against them every single game. And then my other couple surprises on the good end is the Baltimore Ravens, right? 10-6, 24 points per game on the offense, 19 points per game. He went 6-2 at home. The problem was he was 4-4 on the road, and he's going to have to win a road game here in the playoffs if he's going to make this season really count. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers did well. Not really a team. I expected them to do a little bit better, but they fell right about where they were supposed to. It was really the Ravens, though, in that division that surprised me the most. Looking at the AFC South, a division that really is stacked with talent and really with a bunch of guys that you really expect to play very, very well. But yet, it was the Jaguars who were able to get things going, and it was the Titans and the Texans who were not. The Texans is a big disappointment for me. A 2-win team with that quarterback is unacceptable. Massimo is a much better player than that. He will get things figured out this season. I expect that team to be dramatically different moving forward. And the Tennessee Titans, we talked about them all of Madden 17, loaded with talent, but that Jekyll and Hyde, you're not quite sure who was going to show up week in and week out. And they really struggled this year with the turnovers, with scoring points on offense. I really do expect the Titans and the Texans to both get that figured out and make that AFC South a much tighter division. Overall, though, I think it fell where you thought it would fall, right? The New England Patriots are just one of those teams that's always up there. The Broncos are always up there. The Chiefs are doing really well, but then their owner left for greener pastures over in Arizona. Your Bengals are always up there. The Steelers, the Jags. These are teams that are always up there pushing. So those aren't too many surprises for me. But the Raiders, the Ravens, and then, of course, those in the positive, and then the Titans, the Texans, those are in the negative. Also, probably the Chargers a little bit, because I expected a little bit more from them, at least in season one. So now let's hop over to the NFC and talk about the NFC. Just give me your breakdown. How did it play out? Surprises, disappointments. Talk about the season 74 in the NFC.
I was really curious to see how the NFC South was going to work out. I had played Bill previously the last time he was here. I knew he was a good player. You're going back. Collins coming over from the Colts to take the Panthers. He kind of loaded up on some talent. My big winner, and it's maybe a cliche now that he's won some Super Bowls, but I'm going to say the Falcons, but it's because a few weeks ago, we're having conversations of whether he's even going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
How he came to actually win the division, I have no idea. I thought that, I figured the Panthers would get in and either you or the Bucks would get in. I didn't think Wayne was going to make it. So how he pulled that off, I didn't catch his last 2 or 3 games. I have no idea, but I'm going to call that a winner. I didn't see it coming. It's a really tough division, probably from top to bottom, the toughest division we have. I don't want to play there. If I had to kind of pick on a loser, and again, I'm not picking on anybody, but I really, really expected the Packers to do more. If you kind of look over their schedule, they went 5-1 in the division, but they finished 7-9. And I played him really early in the season. I think he beat me by more than anybody. I think he beat me by 17 points or something like that. And it was a really competitive game, but I knew I was losing about halftime. The Vikings go 12-4 to take that division. They had a new owner come over and take the team, but still, regardless, he's got Aaron Rodgers. Make it happen. That's his squad. He's a true fan. He doesn't like to trade his players the first year. He'll tell you that. He doesn't like to make any trades first year. That's cool. But you got to make it happen, man. You're the Packers. The Packers are always there in the end. I really thought that he was going to make a push at some point to at least get a wild card spot. So, but I think he'll get it turned around, and I'd expect to see the Packers in the playoff talk.
One day I'm gonna get you and D Wayne to yeah, just accept that this is supposed to be a fun show, and if guys get their panties in a wad because you guys said something about their team, then they just need to get their panties in a wad. I am going to go ahead and just put some of these guys on blast. It's fun, so I'll go ahead and brag about the NFC South. I am the low man on the totem pole there. I hold that division down, but it is the only division in the OMFL that everyone finished with a winning record. 9-7, 9-7, 11-5, 12-4. It's a loaded division. I beat the Panthers early. The Bucks beat me early. I beat the Bucks late. The Panthers hammered me early, and Dwayne just absolutely demolished me both times that we played. I didn't even compete in either one of those games. But this is just a tough, tough division from top to bottom, which pushes us not only to build our rosters, but to become better players. A couple of surprises for me. I got to call the whole NFC East out. Now, I love our boy Maniac. He runs the OMFL too. He's on the board. He does so much really great stuff here. But this guy moaned and groaned every stinking night in the chat about how bad he was, about how much he hated this game. He couldn't buy a win. And guess who won the NFC East? Oh, Maniac won the NFC East. Amazing how that
Yep.
works, you know? You stop complaining, you start focusing on the game, you start winning. You start winning a couple games and you end up winning the division. But really, this whole division I expected to play better. Now, granted, I do think that Pepper and the Redskins will both get their teams figured out and move their way up. But more was really expected from a loaded Eagles team that I thought really was built to win. And I just expected more to come out of the NFC East. So I'm looking at you, NFC East, to bring the pressure in the NFC, pick up your game a notch, and really help bring the competition level up to where the AFC has it. Because for so long here, Dwayne's been covering the NFC. He's been carrying it. He's been winning championships. It's time the rest of us kind of pick up our game here. Looking at the NFC West, not many surprises, right? Ducks moved over to the Rams. Such a great player. He's got championships here. He's been in more bowl games than probably anybody combined, win or lose. And he already brings it to a really tough Seattle Seahawks team and Mo, who's always pushing for that division. The Arizona Cardinals lost their owner, but really ever since they lost their owner, Rob comes in there and just plays much, much better, right? He comes in, he starts winning with that team. It's going to make it super competitive. And then Meathead, one of the classic guys here that just makes you fight for every yard that you get against him. He, again, started to win late. I think once he gets that quarterback issue figured out, he did have a rookie play that's in the Rookie of the Year runnings. I think that if he can get a couple of small things figured out, he's going to get a chance to build this defense in the draft. That's going to be a much better team. The Minnesota Vikings lost to their owner. We replaced him with Q, who's moved over from the Ravens, and they just kept winning. 22 points far, 14 points against, 7-1 at home. One of the top teams in the NFC. But I'm going to agree with you. I expected more from two teams here. Actually, all the other three teams. The Packers, I just thought with that rushing attack that he was bringing good over from Madden 17. Plus to go with, he already had his quarterback and receivers. That offensive line was pretty good. I expected them to win a whole lot more than they did. And then 00 moving over to his favorite team, the Lions. He was winning early, and then the wheels kind of fell off there. He ended up going 3-5 at home, 3-5 on the road. I expect that team to play much better in the second half. And then Outlaw, we've talked about this a couple times. We even talked in chat. It's so great to have Outlaw more involved again. Life has kind of started to settle down for him. Still thinking about you, buddy. I know that's not super easy, but you're hanging in there. You're super active. But dang it, you got to find a quarterback. You got to get some wins underneath your belt here. That is a fun team to play with. I hope that he's able to hold it all together. He doesn't give away his really good players and just begins to build on them the way he did in Madden 17. Because with just a couple of really good drafts, that team can turn things around. And then lastly, Colin and Bill moving over to the NFC South. I didn't know what to expect from Colin. Colin had such an up and down Madden 17, but man, he proved that he is one of the top teams here in the NFC. 11-5. Bill shrugged off the early controller dust. He goes 9-7. 3-5 at home. He's got to clean that up, but he did really great on the road at 6-2. Colin, the same thing, 6-2 on the road, 5-3 at home. He's got to clean that up. But if those two teams can clean that up, they're going to make Dwayne compete for the NFC South, but we've got to do something. We can't continue to just hand over the NFC South to him every single year, year in and year out. So then that brings us to the playoffs. So let's talk about the playoffs and where we kind of stand here. Let's see if I can't get us where we want to look here. Let's get over to the conference. You know what I should have put up? I should have put up that beautiful freaking logo that you made. That thing is so freaking awesome. If you haven't checked out the brand new playoff graphic that WhoDey did most of the work for, I just kind of helped him just very little with the player cutouts. Go check that thing out. That thing is freaking amazing. Let's talk about the AFC playoffs. Break them down. Give me your predictions and who in the AFC is going to make it all the way to the bowl game.
I would say, Bengals, Ravens, we just played. If there's a playoff game to miss, unfortunately, probably it'd be that one. It's not. We don't play at this point exciting football. You're not going to see a bunch of down the field passes. It's pretty much just run, run the ball, pass when you have to. Kind of force that one turnover, and that's kind of how our last game went. It was neck and neck, time winding down the fourth quarter. It was going to be whoever had the ball last, and for whatever reason, he decided to throw downfield. Here comes the safety coming down, and he just snatches it out of the air, and game's over. So that one could really go either way, being completely honest. Exceeded my expectations for the squad that I have, so I have no problem taking a whooping there. I would probably at the end of the day say the Ravens, just because I'm so one-dimensional right now, and we just played. He knows everything I got, and because I threw it at him. So I would take the Ravens in that game over the Bengals. We've got the Steelers playing the Raiders. I'm kind of curious to see that. I haven't played Jabols for a while. I don't really want to with Khalil Mack, hurting every quarterback he plays. But Tavon's playing great football. He just had a little letdown against the Browns, but I think he'll bounce back. As long as he doesn't get impulsive, I see the Steelers taking this game. But it's going to be close. It could go either way, but I'd roll with the Steelers. If that kind of falls out, that's going to leave Pittsburgh going to play New England. They've already played. It was like 35-0. The Patriots, it's a 95 overall team, matched with a good user. Look what happens. He's right where he should be. He's the number one seed. He's the guy with the target on his back. I see him making it back to the AFC Championship. Tavon goes to play the Jags this year. Brady's got that very frustrating play style. You know what he's doing, but he's going to do it anyway, and he's going to make you not like it. He's running the ball with Fournette, and you will not be able to stop him. But on the other hand, he's a tackle-breaking machine. That would be a very, very fun game to watch. But I think Brady Fournette's just too tough, man. He's got some definite stick skills when it comes to that running back. And that really comes down to Jags-Patriots to me in the championship. My little twist, I think Brady can win the game. I think Brady can win the game by taking it, not turning it over and pound the rock. That's what he's done. It's worked for him. The game is set up this year for his play style perfectly. Since got Tom Brady, he's a great passer. He's shred everybody he's played so far, but he takes a lot of risks. And Brady's that guy. He knows how to, maneuver those corners. He knows when to press, when not to, when to drop them back, when to send the blitz. So, I think the Jags, in my opinion, are probably going to be the team coming out of the AFC in the playoffs this year.
I was able to get your playoff graphic up. It's not absolutely perfect, but man, everybody can see that beautiful thing. It's pretty awesome. We're going to try to do this exact same one for all of Madden 18. Now that WhoDey has done all the really hard work, it'll be just an easy plug and play every single year after I do a couple of cutouts. But thank you again for doing that. That thing is freaking awesome. I'm going to go ahead and break it down. So I think you're like D. Wayne, right? You're not going to give yourself near as much credit as you deserve. I really think that the AFC is up for grabs. And if I had to put my money, though, I got to go with the guys who I know I can count on, right? If you talk about the Bengals and the Ravens, that is going to be a good classic game. The Ravens are just such a big unknown for me. They really have come out of nowhere. They got the new owner, don't know a whole lot about him, but I've got to go with Steady Eddie, the Bengals there. I just have to go there until somebody else proves me wrong. I think that'll be a tight game. It'll be a close game, but I just see one or two mistakes coming from the Ravens. The Bengals make you play perfect offense. If you turn the ball over, they make you pay for it, and I see that that's going to happen again this one. I see the Bengals moving on from that one. Then you look on the other side with the Steelers and the Raiders. That's going to be another really great game. Again, Jay Bowles comes out of nowhere. Tavon's been kind of up and down, right? He's been really into it, and he's been playing really well. But overall, do they have an answer for Mac? Can they get enough protection for Big Ben to be able to make the plays that he needs to make? I got to say no. I think that the Oakland Raiders are just too loaded of a team offensively and defensively, and that's going to move them on. Then that's going to give us a 3-2 matchup and a 1-4 matchup. You got the New England Patriots, who really have been red hot here towards the end of the season against your Bengals. But the problem with both of these games, right, is going to be that the Jaguars and the Patriots have yet to win a big game. Both of these teams were in the playoffs in Madden 17. Both of these teams pushed. Both of these teams were one of the top teams in the AFC. Both have been with their teams for a very long time now, and yet both refuse year in and year out to win the big game. And until you win the big game, I can't put my money on it. I think that it'll be an offensive shootout over in New England, but I do see that the Bengals are going to come away with that one with a field goal late. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals to move on against the Oakland Raiders. I just think that something happens to Brady mentally whenever he gets into the playoffs. I think he gets way too conservative. That conservative outlook works well when you're in the season, but he gets super conservative in the playoffs, and the offensive firepower for the Oakland Raiders is going to be too much. I'm looking for them to move on. And then we're going to have a 3-4 matchup, something that nobody probably seen happening in the AFC. And again, I'm putting my money with the horses that I know have got me there before. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals to get all the way to the OMFL Bowl in season 74. I just think that you have figured your team out. Yeah, you haven't built them the way that you built them in Madden 17 just yet, but there is a lot of firepower there. I think Dalton's going to do just enough to be able to get you some wins. I think that your running game is going to be a powerhouse, and then you just play really great defense coming off the edge, getting after the quarterback. I think you're going to have to watch out for Mac. I think anytime you step on the field with a guy who has 31 sacks or whatever that number was for season 74, then you really have to pay attention exactly where he is. You're going to have to hold in extra protection, but give me the Cincinnati Bengals to make it all the way in the OMFL Bowl for season 74, which brings us to the NFC. So we've got the Panthers against the Cowboys in the wild card. We got the Seahawks against the Vikings in the wild card. What a wild card matchup, right? You got a 13-win team or whatever that was against a 10-win team. I mean, that's a stacked house at 3-6 right there. And then you got the Rams and the Falcons, both guys who've been in the OMFL Bowl against each other. They've been in championships against each other. That should be a really great matchup if they make it all the way. How do you see the NFC playing out this year?
Well, we've had a couple games played already, and it really surprised me. I thought this was, if we would have had this conversation yesterday, I would have picked Colin and the Panthers to go all the way. I did not see him get knocked off early, especially by the NFC East Cowboys. But man, he beat him by a few touchdowns, and he's hot. Maniac's got the hot hand. Congratulations on the win.
We're pausing for a second. Maniac, if you say one more stupid thing about this game and your team and how bad you are now banned from ever saying a bad thing about you, your team, or this game. You beat Colin, you won your division, shut your mouth, grandma.
He's definitely got it figured out, that's for sure. The other games been played already. Um, we got the Seahawks and the Vikings. That I didn't quite get to catch it all. I caught a little bit of it. I didn't catch the end. The Seahawks pulled it out. It's not a huge surprise to me just because, Mo's had that Seattle team. It's a new game. The roster's a little different. He knows what he has. He knows his tools. He's been here before. Q moving over to the Vikings. It's new. I think he only had him for about 5 games, so it's not a huge surprise. But congratulations, Mo, on moving on. And so this next round in the FC, I'm really excited about. I'll definitely watch both games. I believe it takes Seattle to play the Rams.
Yeah.
Division game, and then Maniac goes to play Wayne. So I could see something crazy happening. I know that the Rams and the Seahawks have already played a few times this year. We know how that went. I don't put it past Mo to pull one out. If there's somebody that, I think that he could. Here's the big boost of confidence, Mo. But steady Eddie, I'm going to have to pick the Rams. I just think he's been here too many times. He's just his user skills are just he's just good at the game. So I see the Rams moving on. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks made some magic happen. This is really intriguing to me. Falcons, Cowboys. I don't know what Maniac figured out. DM me, bro. Help me out. Throw me a bone. But again, I didn't think that Wayne would be in the playoffs. I don't think Wayne thought he would be in the playoffs, to be honest with you, at one point. But he's here. He won the division. It's the best division in the OMFL. He won it. He got the first round bye. I'm going to stick with the Falcons over the Cowboys. I really don't know what to expect. I think that's going to be a ground and pound game. I think Elliott will have big numbers, but I think Wayne will find a way to pull it out. And that takes us back to what we know. We know Ducks versus Wayne in big games. They've both been there, numerous times. I've played them both. We're all real familiar with each other. But I don't know what it is about the big game. Wayne always gets him. Even when nobody expects it. I don't expect it. I don't even think Wayne expects it. But he just makes it happen, So I'm going to go with the Falcons until, Wayne gets over, or, Ducks gets over that final hurdle, which is Atlanta. So I got Atlanta meeting up with Jacksonville in the championship is kind of how I think it'll shake down.
I gotta be honest here. I'm finding myself real sick of being the low man on the totem pole in the best division in football, 2 Maddens in a row. I don't know how that continues to happen to me. So if anybody wants to trade for my Saints, you're more than welcome to come talk to me because I'm sick of being in the best division every single year. You got the Cowboys beating up on the Carolina Panthers. I got to be honest, I wouldn't have called that. Colin has played so great here as of late. That team was really ticking on all cylinders when I played him towards the end of the season. I could do nothing. I had no answers for him. I think I gave up at halftime. He was unfreaking stoppable. And clearly, Maniac has figured something out with those Cowboys. And then you've got Mo beating the Vikings. I didn't see that coming either. Now, I didn't know what to expect from the Vikings, though. You got to give it to Q. And he swapped teams right towards the end of the season and continued those winning ways. We didn't know if the Vikings were going to fall off, if they were going to step up. Q kept them winning. But man, Mo, like he always seems to do, gets things figured out and gets on a roll late every freaking season. And that guy's unstoppable when he's rolling. And like you just said, that's going to send the Seahawks over to meet LA, or down, I should say, to meet LA. And that's going to send Dallas over to see Atlanta. The game that I really want to watch, I don't know, I got to leave for Detroit in the morning, so I doubt I'm going to be able to see this game. But the Seattle Seahawks versus the LA Rams is going to be an instant classic game. Please send me these playoff games. Kind of the goal of our instant classic thread that we have with all those games is I'd love to have every playoff game from every year on there. Definitely the OMFL Bowl, which, again, remember, guys, if you're in the playoffs and you watch this, we have a new rule. We're calling it the WhoDey rule because it was his suggestion, where we're asking you to take 24 hours between to plan your game and to let the board know when that game's going to be played so that we can make a big advertisement for it. We can get it streamed. I actually won't be around this year to stream it. I'm going to be in Detroit. I say that unless it's done on Sunday when I get back or Monday. I'm only going Friday and Saturday. But if the bowl game gets played before that, I won't be around to stream it. But if it isn't, I'll definitely stream it. We'll start a chat. We just want to make it a presentation. We want it to feel special. Too often the bowl game is played quickly because everybody else is ready to get to the off season. Look, 24 hours, 48 hours is not a lot. It's a little bit of a mini break for people. It gets everybody a chance to kind of get their team ready as we roll into the offseason and give everybody a 24, 48-hour heads up. Hey, the game's being played tomorrow. Get your team ready for re-signs. It just gets us all ready, and it helps us make a special big deal. So now that I'm off that soapbox, I would love to watch the Rams and the Seahawks. I do think that Mo can win that game. But man, I'm going to continue to put my money on the horses that got me here. And Dux is a really great player, and I see him winning this game. Same thing with the Dallas and Atlanta game. I think that Dallas is going to finally hit their wall because, man, the Atlanta Falcons are just one of those teams. I played both the Rams and the Falcons late. My late season schedule was brutal. I should say the Rams game was actually a very close game. I was kind of keeping it tight. I hit the wrong button, threw a pick six, and then that was like early in the fourth quarter, straight downhill from there. The Falcons, from the kickoff until I gave up, it was all Falcons. I couldn't stop him. He was gashing me for 6, 7 yards a run. He was perfect with his quarterback. He called the perfect defenses. I just don't see anyone beating the Atlanta Falcons. I think that the Atlanta Falcons might beat the Atlanta Falcons, but he hasn't done that yet. The reason I think that makes Dwayne so steady is he just doesn't turn the ball over, and you do. And whenever you turn the ball over, he makes you pay for those mistakes. I do see it coming down to the Rams and the Falcons. Giving the Falcons a rematch of 2 bowls ago, 3 bowls ago,
Yep.
something like that. The Atlanta
The
Falcons.
last one. Yep.
Yep. And the Cincinnati Bengals, part 3, because both of these guys have met up before, so this is going to be part 3. That is who's going to make it to the bowl for me. So let's go ahead and talk about it right now. OMFL Bowl 74 predictions. Who do you have in it? Who do you have winning it? Who's taking it all the way?
If it breaks out the way I think it's going to, I've got Jacksonville versus Atlanta. I don't think Wayne learns. Wayne watches more games in our league than I think anybody that I know of. It's like, hey, Wayne, what's up, buddy? What are you doing? Watching the game on. You want to watch it? So whoever it is he plays, he's going to watch all the playoff games. He's one of those guys. He studies it. He knows what's happening. It's a big job to stop Fournette. Counters, inside zones, dives, sweeps. He can run anything. But I think he'll get it figured out, and I think Atlanta will win this one by 3 scores, 28-10. I just don't think that – I think Brady will turn it over eventually, and I don't think – if you look at his QB numbers, he hasn't got the passing game figured out to be able to come back. And Wayne's one of those guys, he's really conservative, but he makes you pay. He cashes in on the turnovers, and he holds on to the ball. So if you lose a possession and Atlanta scores on you, you can't try to get it all back at one time, or you're just going to dig yourself in a deeper hole. So I think Atlanta will get them by 3 scores. I don't think it'll be super close if that's what it comes down to. Nothing against Brady, but Wayne is more of like a he studies the game. He knows what's happening. He's not often surprised when it comes to the Super Bowl. And hey, me and Wayne are cool. Like I said, we played in 2 bowls. It's war when it comes to the bowl game. Jacksonville, if you're listening, if you make it there, think of a wrinkle. Come up with something, because what gets you there won't be what wins it for you. So do your homework.
Yeah, Dwayne's actually listening to us right now. So, Dwayne, go ahead and do me a favor. Message all of the guys in the playoffs a little message of the new Super Bowl rule. And I'm going to ask the board to help me with that because, again, I got to travel for work tomorrow and do a little training for some Piston coaches, the Detroit Pistons, on Saturday morning, and I'll be back late Saturday night. And again, the playoffs go so fast. Let's just remind everybody about that new rule, and then I'll start messaging everybody this afternoon about keeping an eye on the playoffs, and we will announce to everyone whenever that 24 48 hours is set for the OMFL Bowl game. That way, everybody can get ready for the offseason. We can have a really solid offseason. I think that's going to be a great new addition, but this is the first chance that we get to do that addition. And since this is the first chance, there's a good chance that we may accidentally forget, and I don't want to forget. So, WhoDey and D-Wayne, you guys help me out. We'll make sure that we get that announced. I've got the Falcons and the Bengals meeting the OMFL Bowl, the title of the heavyweights part 3. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys are 1-1 against each other in the bowl games. Both of you have
Yep.
won one. I think he won the second one. You won the first one. These are two very good teams. Again, I'm going with the guys that I know have got me there before. Again, here's the thing about Dwayne is he just makes you play such a perfect game. It's very, very difficult to beat him. You have to play the perfect game. And the one time that I played him super close, it was that one mistake. My quarterback all of a sudden went in Madden 17. It was Garoppolo, who, funny enough, he actually picked up the year after that or something and got to the bowl game with him. It's just stupid what Dwayne can do with quarterbacks. But even playing him this year, he's perfect. I mean, he just calls the perfect game. With our current sliders, which they will be different for season 2, we're working very, very hard. I've been every night trying to get a test game in. We don't like the settings right now, but they are what they are, and they're staying there at least until season 2. But with these slider settings, Dwayne is going to punch you in the mouth with the run game. He's going to eat the clock. He's going to be perfect, pinpoint perfect with his quarterback. And then whoever plays him is going to make at least one mistake. And whenever they do, then it just kind of snowballs from there. What I've learned about playing some of these top guys is you better do ball carrier conservative early because you're going to get hit with that aggressive tackling so they can get an early turnover and try to shift the momentum. So you better go conservative with any of these top guys in the playoff early and then maybe later on lighten it up. Or if you have a lead late, you better go conservative so you don't start fumbling the ball all over the place. Look, at the end of the day, love them or hate them, coaching adjustments work. They are a little overpowered, but they're a part of the game, and we all have to adjust. And so you better learn how to adjust that stuff throughout the game. It is not a set it and forget it thing. You better get that right. But I like the Bengals and the Falcons in the bowl game. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to win the whole thing in another classic matchup. Dwayne, I see kicking a late field goal. With a little time left, the Bengals making a drive, throwing a pick in the end zone to end this game, and Dwayne is going to win his 4th championship. That's how I see it playing out. So that is a look at season 74, all of the playoffs, all of the stuff. Lots of good stuff, man. It's been a good season. I am excited about getting these slider settings figured out. We're getting close. I feel like we're talking to other leagues and looking at stats and looking at all kinds of stuff. Again, a little plug for the Daddy Leagues website. If you haven't seen it, it's just about completely finished. I made a custom video for the front page, so even though my internet's acting a little slow right now, there is a really cool custom video of actual Madden gameplay from our league. This isn't just like some stock footage. I actually downloaded about 10 or 15 different games and used the stock footage from our game. So the video that you see here, the opening is actually from the last Madden 17 bowl game between the Falcons and the Chiefs. The Falcons and the Chiefs, which was Ducks and Dwayne, and then it goes into Madden 18. You can also check out the About Us, the standings, all this fun stuff that we got up there. And then we also put a new little twist. We did actual, this was NFL players, but we did actual Madden players cutouts from our league. So Forbes is up there, Mac is up there, Detroit rookie is up there, the Miami Dolphins rookies up there. I don't know any of these guys' names, but lots of fun stuff, lots of good stuff. Check out the Daddy Leagues page. But we are at our last segment, something that we call outside of the league. But today, we're not going to go outside the league. We're going to keep it in-house, and we're going to kind of call this a commissioner's corner. Now, Dwayne and I actually did this last week and a half, whatever it was, before the technology messed up, and even though we did an hour show, only 30 minutes of it actually produced and showed up on YouTube. I'm hoping this is working. I think it is. I've been keeping an eye on everything. We're not dropping frame rates. We're not messing anything up. So I think, as far as I know, everything is working and we're good to go here. So just to kind of to give you a little heads up of what we want to talk about in this segment is we want to talk about gameplay. Every new game, there's going to be like new obstacles. There's going to be new things that kind of come up that go away, all of this other stuff, and guys figure out the game, right? They start figuring out what's working, what's not working, what could be different, all of this other stuff. And at the same time, we've got to make adjustments, and we've got to figure out how do we make those adjustments in a way that makes it fair. We don't have sim rules. We don't consider ourselves a sim league. We are fair play, and the object of our rules and the kind of the heart behind the rules is that we have good fair play. It looks like our stream is kind of having a little bit of a hiccup, but I hope that we're pretty clear for everybody that is watching us. Hopefully it'll just kind of clear itself up here pretty soon. But as we've kind of moved into Madden 18, there's been like these things that have come up. The sliders are so super sensitive. We're figuring out how this game works, and it's been frustrating. I've been frustrated. I've been a big believer and supporter, but yet here recently I've found myself pretty frustrated, right? Pretty at wit's end with trying to figure out how this is, and really I've turned it over to Chaotic. He's working super hard. Everybody's on the board is helping us test. We're trying to get to these solutions, but here's a couple of things I've seen that Dwayne and I talked about, and WhoDey, you and I are going to talk about, that bother me, and that is that cover 2 zone. Madden 17 drove me insane with cover 2 zone. Such a super overpowered play call. It just worked way, way, way too well, and really couldn't figure out why it was working so well. But it just was. It was just one of those. It was one of those things that just worked extremely too well. And in Madden 18, it's been that again. Guys are just leaning on it way, way too much and calling it way too many times. And I begin to worry whenever you see anything becoming 50% of the play calling, right? 60%, 70%. When you're calling all cover 2, 3 times in a row, or every time you're in the red zone, or whatever that is, that becomes super worrisome. And then also the blitz. Like, the blitz has been way out of control. Guys are having a hard time getting the pressure that they want to get. And so since they have a hard time getting the pressure they want to get, they just start blitzing every single play over and over and over. Running up the middle has been too hard. So you're seeing a lot of counters, a lot of tosses, a lot of sweeps. I just want to see us clean up the gameplay. I want to see us hold ourselves to a higher standard. There's a lot of flexibility that comes in the game, and you have a lot of opportunities to you can have up to 500 plays in your playbook, even if you build a custom playbook. So do what you need to do, mix up your plays, get it figured out, because that is what's expected of you. We're going to break down the feedback forms here in the next week. Because the season's wrapped up, we need to clear them. I'm going to get everybody their averages put together. I've been trying to do it single, and it's a lot of work to do that. I may just keep it as a spreadsheet, upload it, and then everybody can download it and see everyone else's scores and see your own scores. And at the same time, I'll just kind of delete. I'll just kind of delete all the feedback, actual like feedback words, like of how guys felt about the game. That way, we don't get any hard feelings, because this needs to be a safe thing, a safe place. But I hope they haven't been terrible. But there has been some issues that you just see over and over and over, and that's the part that I want to see us clean up. WhoDey, what did you think about gameplay for Season 74? What do you kind of like to see as we move forward here? What's kind of your overall thoughts?
When I read this question and I had my pen and my piece of paper and I started writing stuff down, and then I kept writing stuff down and I wrote more stuff down, and it was just like, it really made I don't want to be super hard on you guys. Last year I think we did great. Um, it's taken us a little while, and we're still working on it. Some of it's the game, some of it's the coaching adjustments. You know, I mean, we got guys throwing 40 picks. It's other guys are through throwing 40 touchdowns. It's kind of everywhere right now. We're really working on it. I think we will get it figured out. So if somebody says something to you, it's like Chaotic's FPR guy. That's what he does. That's how he contributes. It's not that he's picking on you. It's just like it's something that's happened repeatedly. And I think from everybody I watched, I can't say I've seen a perfect game this year. It's running out of three wide,
Yeah.
75% of the time, or running out of shotgun, or blitzing, more than 50%. Most of the guys here have been here a while. We're pretty laid back and cool. We're not going to go counting plays every single game to find something to complain about. So if somebody, says something to you, just, all right, cool, man. I'll work on it. I'll try to fix it. That's all we ask. We'll continue to work on the sliders. I'm confident that, with the tools we have and the resources and the people working on it, we'll get it figured out for season 2, and kind of get back to more where we were last year. If I just had to pick one thing, I've seen a lot of guys use her in that safety. I think that's awesome. That is something that I did not see, I can't say, from any person in our league that I played last year. I think that's cool. I think it's awesome to, if you want to lurk up 3 or 4 yards, drop back in coverage, that's cool. I think in our rule, our verbiage, maybe 5 yards. Don't go to the other side of the field. Play your assignment, go by the play art. So if you're at that safety, if you're not going to blitz, don't walk him up 15 yards. That's my one thing. Just do your best to not roam. Full with your coaching adjustments, they'll roam for you. Okay. Try to do your best to go by the play art. Same thing with the runs. Don't ask me why this year. If you have a counter, if you look at the play art, you're going right inside that last tackle. I haven't ran one counter where there's even been a hole there. So just do your best. We're not going to kill you. We understand. Just try to do what the play's drawn up to do, and we won't have any problems.
Yeah, I think that a lot of good stuff that you just said there. The 3 wide running is kind of out of control. I even get messages from guys who've been here a long time, about it. Like you guys, yeah, what's expected here. The rules are broken down for you, and the key rule is don't do anything excessive, anything close to half or more than half of your plays, and also to say it's not in the rule book is not an excuse. You guys kind of know what the gameplay is expected here, and that it's expected to mix it up. I'm not gonna do what some have suggested and start putting numbers on stuff and start like having to print out like a script of what you can and can't do. Like, you're adults, figure it out, mix it up, have fun, make it strategic, because there's nothing better than having a game where both of you are trying things, you're both back and forth. It's really a chess match, and it's not just one guy doing the same thing that works over and over and over, because the answer to stop that is to do the same thing over and over on defense. That's just not a fun game. So mix it up. Just don't, if you find yourself calling, 6 zones in a row, make it time to change it up. Call a couple mans, right? Every blitz shouldn't be a zone blitz. If you're going to blitz sometimes, you should just do man up blitzes, I have said this a million times, and I prove it time and time again. I will call defenses that I know are going to get beat sometimes because it's just time to try something different. It's time to mix it up. I am not running zone every third down. I'm just not. And so I will take chances, appropriate chances, to call a man defense on third down, and fully aware and fully okay that it may get beat. And I'm going to try to use her and control the areas where I think I'm going to get beat at, and then either he wins or I win, and we keep playing. But either way, I'm not going to call zone every time. I'm not going to call a zone blitz every first down. Or the other way, where guys call man every first down, a zone blitz every second down, zone on third down. Like, I've seen those three called back to back to back to back multiple drives so many stinking times. No defense should be called twice in a row. And I've seen so many cover two zones called 2, 3, 6 out of 8. Just that kind of stuff is ridiculous. And don't give me, well, I'm not calling man in the red zone. Well, then maybe this isn't a league for you. You should call man in the red zone from time to time because it's a real defense, and you should mix it up, and you should find appropriate times to call it. You shouldn't be running, 4 out of 6 plays in the red zone or cover 2 zone. That shouldn't be a thing here, and more is expected. So I'm hoping that we can clean up these few little areas where we've kind of fallen off. Again, Chaotic is a good dude. He handles guys with respect. He does his homework. Lots of guys on the board help him watch video. These guys, like, that is a thankless job. That is not fun. So I'm asking, let's all just be super respectful. There's been a few times in chat lately where things have been disappointing. Normally, that's what we're super good at. That's why guys love being in this community, is because our chats are awesome. And there's been like some talk that hasn't been awesome. And that stuff's just not going to be put up with. And if you can't be nice, even if you quote unquote are joking, you can't, that's another little, soapbox that I'm going to try to not get on. But the only time people hear from you can't be when you're quote unquote joking and being a jerk. And that's the only time they ever hear from you. Like, you can't do that. Like, guys read that stuff wrong. They take it wrong. And then I get 1,000 PMs because you're being a jerk in chat and going off about stuff. And you guys know who you are. Chill out with that stuff. And since we're on the subject, I'll go ahead and hit it really fast before we wrap up the show. Trading future first round picks seems to be that there may have been some shady stuff going on. Looks like some teams got away with some stuff that didn't get quite caught by us. First and foremost, if you make a lot of moves with your team, don't even waste your time applying for an open team, because I'm not going to let you move. Ducks and I have talked about it. I love him. He's great at building teams to fit him. I can't let him move. He's moved all the good Rams players. I can't let him move. He's going to be the Rams for all of Madden 17 or 18, I should say. And the same thing. If you make a lot of moves, I cannot let you move. And there's some teams that let some stuff get by me that I let move that we probably shouldn't have. But the rule is, and I'll look at the wording and see if we need to clean it up. You can trade your first rounder. Out of the box is where we got to clean up the rule. Like, can you trade it for that next draft? We've allowed it. But starting from here on out, you can only trade for the draft that you're in. So when we start season 75, you will not be able to trade any of your first rounders until that offseason starts. And you can only trade the first rounder for that offseason, that draft. The reason we do this is because life happens. Guys leave. Guys change teams. Things happen here. And there's nothing more disheartening than taking over a 3-win team and finding out you don't even have a first rounder or a second rounder or whatever it is. Like, that's not fun to do, and we're trying to avoid that situation from happening. So that's everything that I wanted to cover today. WhoDey, what did you think about season 74? Put a bow on the show today. What do you think is going to happen as we move forward here?
Man, it went by fast. Seems like I remember just picking up the game the other day. It was a lot of fun. I've had a few surprises. I want to see somebody else win the Super Bowl. Prove us wrong. Let me see some Falcons or let me see some Seahawks Steelers. I want to see somebody else win it. That would be my big thing. That would kind of make me happy. I'm okay with not winning it. I just want to see somebody else get it a little bit. Off season's going to be fun. First free agency, everybody's got a ton of money. Kind of brush up on the FPR. We've changed some things as far as the contract length you can offer in the first 2 stages is a little different. No 1-year contracts. Just be mindful of that. And good luck to everybody in the off season, the playoffs, and in the draft. And we're excited to get going. Tune into the draft show. Tune into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. The draft show is a blast. What we're going to do this year, stream it just like you're seeing this stream here. We'll have a Discord chat or voice chat like you see WhoDey and I doing that'll be up for the guys who will be doing the show with me. So everybody will be able to watch live. And then for calls, what we're going to do is we'll have guys, whoever's co-hosting with me, will add guys into the chat so that we can kind of get that guys can come in and do their actual voice chat with us. And so it should be a whole lot of fun. We may kick up the Uber conference again, but we're not going to actually pay for it this time. We're just going to keep the free version. So draft shows are a ton of fun. Make sure that you vote for the end of the season awards. Type in exclamation point OMFL awards. Make sure you cast your votes. We want to make sure that we get all the votes in so that we give you the real winners. The playoffs are well underway. We'll get a reminder out there about the OMFL Bowl game. Get guys to start looking forward to the off season. It's going to be a blast. Like WhoDey said, make sure you brush up on your off-season FPR. That's a really thankless, hard job to keep your eye on everything that's going on. And so we've tried to streamline some stuff, but it should be a ton of fun. So make sure that you're plugged in there. And I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready to get over to Detroit, do my work job, get back so that we can go ahead and have a really great off-season. The off-season here is what we do the best, and it's what makes our league outstanding and a whole lot of fun. So for WhoDey, for all of the board here in the OMFL, thanks so much for tuning in. It looks like we had a really great audience tuning in this afternoon to the show, so we'll get this thing processed and get it posted up. But thanks for those guys who called in and listened live. WhoDey, thanks for being on the show again. Guys, we'll see you here in a couple of days. We'll try to do an off-season recap show and get us ready for the draft. That'll all happen soon. Keep your eye out for a draft night vote. As we get through this weekend, I'll know better when the draft could be. I'm expecting it, though, to happen sometime next week. So we'll get a vote up, let everybody vote, and it's going to be a really good time. So for all the leadership here in the OMFL, thanks for tuning in to the show. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.